back for this Saturday slate. Happy Saturday. In this video, I'm going to break down the 4-game NBA slate for today. So it's the first time all playoffs, so we have had a 4-game slate. We've had a bunch of 3-game slates and then one 2-game slate. So it'll be nice to have 4 games, each starting at a different time too. So you definitely know the more games, the more ownership's going to be spread out. So more chances of getting that top spot solo. So let's try to break it down to try to find that perfect combination for this slate. Before we get started with the video, please be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. So some general notes for this slate. Embiid is doubtful. He sat out last game, and we saw how big of a difference it made for the Sixers without Embiid in their last game. Just everybody on the team ate, all the starters ate. With Embiid in there, it's just a completely different team because Embiid dominates the ball on offense. He's the number one option on offense. He soaks up all the rebounds as well. And we saw without him last game how many different guys got it going, were more aggressive. Tobias Harris had 16 rebounds. Ben Simmons was able to drive right into the paint. So Ben Simmons was more aggressive. Tobias Harris was a lot more aggressive. Jimmy Butler has the ball in his hands a lot more. So it's just a lot more beneficial for the Sixers if you're going to be stacking this team today if Embiid is out. So right now, he's doubtful. I'm assuming he's not going to play. If he's in, obviously, then I'll definitely be updating these picks. So you can check out my Twitter after the Divas process where I'll post the updates. But I think he might sit one more out after how well the Sixers team played last game to get him ready for the next series. So anyway, the first player that I like today is going to be Derrick Bledsoe at 6,600. So I like Bledsoe here. He's been really good in both games so far. The first game, he only had to play 25 minutes as it was a massive blowout. The second game was also a blowout. But this game, it's in Detroit, which should keep the game a little more competitive. And Blake Griffin is questionable instead of doubtful. So I think Blake Griffin might give it a go, especially for their first home playoff game. So if Griffin's in there, this game should definitely be a lot more competitive. And if that's the case, Bledsoe is just too cheap at 6,600. He just has a lot of upside. He has 50-point upside. He's hit over 60 a couple times lately. And if the game is closer, he's going to be seeing in the mid-30s in minutes instead of in the low 20s, in the mid-20s. So just a lot of good things to like for Bledsoe. He's also been really good in all 6 games against the Pistons this year. He's averaging 40 DraftKings points in just 29 minutes, just because a lot of these games have been blowouts, especially the first 2 in the playoffs. But with this game being on the road and with Blake Griffin potentially being back, I'm expecting a much more competitive game, which should bode well for guys like Derrick Bledsoe. Second guy I like is going to be Derrick White. So at 5,700, he is just a really, really good play because he has so much upside. We saw last game where he was just unstoppable, and he's definitely earned a lot of minutes. So Greg Popovich has put a lot of trust in him the first 2 playoff games. His last 2 playoff games, he's played 32 and 33 minutes. He's going to continue to play a ton of minutes. He was just unstoppable. He could just get to the rim at will last game. Playing at home is really good for a young player as well. So I think it's just a really good spot for Derrick White at 5,700. He's really took over the point guard position for the Spurs, and he just has a lot of upside at this price. So I like Derrick White. Ben Simmons at 8,500. So last game, Ben Simmons was absolutely magnificent, scored 31 points, only had 4 rebounds as Tobias Harris really pulled down all the rebounds. Was also just 1 assist shy of a double-double, which would have gave him well over 60 DraftKings points. Embiid, if Embiid's out again, which I think I'm expecting him to be, load up on Simmons here. 8,500 is still not a scary price tag for a guy that has triple-double upside. Without Embiid, we'll get a lot more usage on offense, and we'll get a lot more opportunities to pull down rebounds, even though he didn't last game, but the rebounding rate will definitely increase without Embiid in there. And just more playmaking opportunities for Simmons. We'll definitely have to score more points to replace Embiid. The Nets don't really have any rim protection in there besides Jared Allen, but he has been playing low 20s in minutes this series, so it's not like you have to be super concerned with that. Ben Simmons, 8,500, just too much talent and just too much upside at this price. Tobias Harris, 6,500. So was just super aggressive last game without Embiid. Just could not miss from the outside. 6 of 6 from 3. Like I said, was super aggressive with the rebounds. Pulled down 16 rebounds. So he's just a really good play. Price tag only went up by $400. The Nets are pretty good at limiting three-pointers, but they have not been this series, with Redick been really good, and Tobias Harris has been good from the three. So the Nets have been playing some more zone, which will usually leave a guy open, and Tobias Harris can definitely hit an open shot. At 6,500, a guy that has a ton of upside, just makes too much sense here, because just a lot of upside for him. Nobody can really match up to him on the Nets. They don't really have a power forward to really slow him down if he wants to be aggressive. Like Kurucs can't slow him down. DeMary Carroll doesn't really have the size as well, and so it's just a good spot for Tobias Harris. At center, I like Greg Monroe. So obviously he started without Embiid last game. Able to frantically get him in there with a couple minutes to spare, and he didn't really disappoint. You all return 10x at a 3,100 price. Price tag is now at 4,300, but he's still definitely playable. Was just 1 point shy of a double-double. We know he's a great double-double candidate, especially if he sees over 20 minutes, which he's definitely going to see without Embiid. If it does indeed sit. Monroe also didn't play a lot of the fourth quarter as the game went small, so you could have seen additional minutes there. And he also was just terrible shooting the ball, 4 of 13. For a guy that on the season is shooting like almost 50%, you give him a couple more baskets there, give him a double-double. You're looking at a really good return on that salary. 4,300 is still a very good price tag on him. He's just a point per dollar player, well over a point per minute player, and should be seeing 25-ish minutes again today. So I like Monroe. And then I'm going to stick with the Spurs guys, and I like DeRozan. So DeRozan had a terrible first half, was like 1 of 7 in the first half, but he still got there because he had a great second half. At home, the Spurs really play a lot better. In the playoffs, it's really beneficial to kind of target teams at home sometimes, as they do play a little better than on the road. And it's the case for the Spurs. We saw how Derrick White exploded at home. DeMar DeRozan has been good at home and on the road this season, but LaMarcus Aldridge has been the one that has been a lot better at home this season. DeRozan is just super consistent. Price tag is very favorable, under 8,000. He's been excellent in all meetings against the Nuggets this season, averaging 40.6. Having a guy like Derrick White as well can help him out, as he can rack up a couple more assists, and he's just been a great all-around player. We know it's still DeMar DeRozan's team. Him and Aldridge are going to run the show, and now they got a great third piece in Derrick White to take a 3-1 series lead here against the Nuggets potentially. I like DeRozan here at 7,900 a lot. And then I'm going to go over a couple value guys that I like. So if we scroll down here under 5,000, starting with 5K, JJ Redick, I definitely like him. He got hot from 3 after being cold for the past couple games. He can definitely do a lot more of that and put up a ton of points here. They're going to need his scoring as well if Embiid isn't in there. Eric Gordon's at 4,900. I think he's an okay play, but I'd rather play JJ Redick for $100 more. Boban at 4,900 is great. You can, if you play both Sixers centers, that's definitely going to be a contrarian approach, as not many people are going to do that, so I have no problem with that. Barton is just really inconsistent. You can't really play him in cash, but you could make a case for him in GPPs. But he just hasn't been playing well, and then he only saw 20 minutes last game, so maybe Malone is tired of him. But with Barton only playing 20 minutes, we saw a lot more minutes for guys like Monty Morris, who played 24. He's definitely a really good value play at 3,800. Beasley as well played 27 minutes. So if Barton struggles again, I could see Malone go right back to Malik Beasley and Monty Morris, and both of those guys are 3,800. So pick your poison with both of them. I think they're both fine plays today, and they're both obviously going to get minutes. So even if Barton plays like 30 minutes, those two guys should still see minutes in the 20s. And then a couple other value guys that I like. I think Jakob Poeltl at 4,000 is a good play. He played 30 minutes last game. The Nuggets do play big with Jokic and Millsap, and the Spurs have been content with letting Poeltl battle Jokic and letting Aldridge keep Millsap at bay, and Poeltl saw 30 minutes last game anytime. I'm going to have a center that's potentially going to see 30 minutes. I'm definitely going to be interested. The game before that, he got 5 fouls and played 20 minutes, so definitely was in foul trouble. But if you can limit fouls and if he's going to see that many minutes again, definitely has a chance of getting a double-double He's just a good defensive player as well, can rack up some blocks as well. And at 4,000, doesn't need much to really return value and be a great source of value. So he's definitely on my radar for value. Jay Crowder, another guy at 4,100, is just really cheap. Price tag keeps going down. He just hasn't been able to hit a shot. But if he has a hot shooting game, he's going to have a really, really good game. The games have also been blowouts, so he hasn't seen his normal amount of minutes. But he's averaging 26 minutes per game on the season and 23 fantasy points. If he has one really good shooting game, he could easily return close to 30 DraftKings points. So he's got to be on that list. And then the last guy I want to mention is PJ Tucker at 4,500. Just sees a ton of minutes. Not going to really have a huge game with, you're not going to expect him to put up 40. But you can expect him to get you in the 20s. Has a lot of rebounding upside as well as blocks and steals. And if he gets hot from three, he's going to take some shots. So those are some of the value plays I like. Tucker, Jay Crowder, Malik Beasley, Monty Morris, and Jakob Poeltl, probably my favorites. So that's all for the video. Thanks for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and good luck today.